Hey everybody, Shooting Star SVG back, and today I'm going to go through another method on how to create a buffalo plaid stencil where you can create patterns very quickly using Silhouette Studio and Photopea.com. And as you can see, this is a final finished product I have with the stencil that I made. I just want to go ahead and show you what that looks like. It will make life a little bit easier versus copying and pasting a bunch of little boxes like I did before. Or you can go ahead and purchase the stencil, which I'll post below this video. So first things first, we're going to start with a 2x2 inch square in a separate workspace. And the nice thing about this is we're going to go ahead and open up our fill panel, and there is a line pattern in there that we're going to manipulate. Okay, so when you click on that, that's far too big and not in the right orientation for the purposes of our pattern. So we're going to go ahead and change that angle to -45 degrees, and then we're going to go ahead and change our scale. So when I first did this, I was just kind of clicking and clicking and clicking, as you can see me doing again in this video for the purposes of showing you what the scale tool does to try to find the right fit for the stitched like square that you would see on normal fabric of the buffalo plaid or buffalo check pattern. And I found that a scale of about 30 was good. So once you get that scale appropriate, or to whatever you feel like your liking is, make sure that your lines are transparent. Go to the trace tool, select your trace area, and we're going to go ahead and move that threshold up and click on trace. Go ahead and delete that black background out, and then color your lines back in, or fill your lines back in with black. Okay, and now we have all these lines on a transparent background, which is exactly what we want. Okay, we're going to get that buffalo plaid look very easily here. So we're going to go back to our workspace and create a square. Hold the shift key down to make it uniform. Go to your transform tool panel and do a 2x2 square. We're going to go ahead and align that to the top corner of our workspace, and we can start building on the pattern. Okay, this is where it gets a little bit tricky because the align tools aren't fantastic in Silhouette Studio, but they're good enough for the purposes of the video. So we're going to go ahead and color that in black. We're going to go back to our pattern, and we're going to go ahead and copy that out. Make sure that it is a 2x2 square, or it's going to throw all of your alignment off. Mine ended up being a little bit bigger after the trace, so I just had to bring it down. And you're going to want to go open up your replicate panel, bring that black square over, change the color of it because we're going to overlay that line portion that we just created in that tiny square, and we're going to get it lined up with that black square because the red square is already aligned with it. Move it as close to the center as possible. Go to your transform panel and align it horizontally and vertically at the top and left edges, and then delete that red, whoopsies, delete the red square because you're not going to need it anymore. And then once you have that, you can zoom back out, select your two squares, open the replicate panel again, and duplicate that over twice. And now we have our top row done. And then the next thing you're going to do is take that striped square, duplicate it down one time, and then you're going to move it over to the left side of your workspace. Go ahead and copy it all the way across, that way we're not having to mess around with alignment. And then you're going to delete the squares that are going to be where your color will lie when we're done. And we have our 2 rows done, which means we're done. So the next thing you're going to do is copy all your squares, go to the replicate panel, and then bring that down twice. And there's your stencil. So if you're satisfied with that, you can go ahead and create a square. And in this case, we'll do a 12 by 12 because that is the size of our canvas. And we're going to go ahead and move that into the center of the page and then bring it back. Oh, I didn't transform that the way I wanted it to be. I hit the lock button. Okay, I'm going to unlock the dimensions there and get it 12 by 12. Let's try this again. I'll center it to the page and change the color to whatever your heart desires, and you will see that buffalo plaid pattern, that buffalo check pattern. And you can go ahead and save that as a JPEG and use it as is, or you can do what I like to do, and you can open up a project in Photopea and you can really get some crazy stuff going. So that's what we're going to do. Go ahead and open your web browser and get onto photopea.com. Click a new project, name it whatever you want. For this, I'm just going to name it Plaid Test 1. Do a width of 3600 and a height of 3600 at 300 dpi, which is going to be a 12 by 12. And click Create. And then we're going to go back and we're going to open up our stencil. So there we go, the pattern we just made. Change your image size to whatever you see fit. I'm going to do a 1200 by 1200 in this case. Click OK. And then you're going to go to Edit, Define New, Pattern. Okay. And for this, you're just going to want to go to Effect, Pattern Overlay. And then you're just going to select the pattern that we just created in the other window on Photopea. And you're going to see that it's just going to drop that right in. And it looks fantastic. And you can go ahead and export that. So that's one way of doing it. You can create your color swatches in Silhouette Studio and drop them into Photopea to make the squares smaller and more of a pattern look. Or you can do it a different way. Instead of having to sit there and do it like that, you can save this stencil as is with a transparent background. I'm going to go ahead and save that as a PNG. So it will stay as a transparent background. Okay. And I already did that prior, so I'm not going to do it again. You're going to go to File, Open, and you're going to open up your PNG of the stencil, and you'll see that come through with the transparent background. Again, adjust your image size to 1200 by 1200 pixels. And I think in this case, I'm going to go ahead and make it a little bit bigger so I can show you what a bigger square looks like. And go to Edit, Define New, Pattern. Now you can go back and create the same thing. And all you need to do here for this is open up a new file again, our 12 by 12 at 300 dpi with a transparent background. Okay. Now we're going to go to Effects on this background. We're going to go to Pattern Fill. And then we're going to click on that transparent PNG pattern that we just defined. Okay. So a little bit different. Then you're going to go make a new layer, a color fill layer. Drag it down under the background and there you go. You're done. The cool thing about this is if you're creating like bulk patterns that you want to use for your designs or to sell or whatever, you can just change the color, save it, and be done. So you can literally sit here and do like hundreds of color combinations and be finished. And like I just sat here the other day and did a bunch of like pastel patterns and stuff like that for spring that I'll be putting up shortly. It's just like a really simple method. It's a lot easier than taking all those little squares and trying to do it that way. And then of course when you're done, just go over to export as a JPEG and click on 100% as your quality and save that. It will drop into your downloads folder, and then you just can double click on it in that, or you can go open it up and you'll see the pattern is there and you can use it to your heart's content or sell it to your heart's content. I found this method to be a lot easier than the one I previously went through and just wanted to share it with everyone. I think sometimes these things can get a little intimidating, but if you can break the process down into something simple, it's really not that hard to do. So hopefully you learned something new today and you have a good technique on how to do buffalo plaid a few different ways. And feel free to share this video with somebody who you might think would benefit from it, and feel free to click like and subscribe below because I'll be doing more of these tips and tricks throughout the year. I hope you all have a great night.